Hello, hi, good day. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. My name is Utibe. I created Love as a KPI, and it's a platform through which I share and teach on the idea that when organizations are primarily driven by love for people, not the only thing that they're driven by, but primarily driven by love for people, and those people could be customers, employees, community members, all stakeholders, because at the end of the day, all stakeholders are people. If loving them is the primary driver, it not only yields better outcomes for the organization, the people in those organizations themselves, it yields better outcomes for the target of that love. And because love is something that really does trigger what I call an unbridled level of loyalty. It also drives the financial, strategic, and operational outcomes that organizations want. But it really does depend on what is the initial intention, and that's love for people. And so I've been sharing that for I think about a year. I've been sharing about love as a KPI, and I've gotten a lot of engagement, a lot of questions over time, and it's led me to have incredible conversations with many people in different parts of the country and even parts of the world. One of the questions I get a lot is sort of why. What's the why behind this, T-Bay? Like, what drives you in sharing this? And I have a lot of convictions about things that show up in love as a KPI, and one of the convictions that I have is that so if you look at sort of business textbooks and frameworks and methodologies and ideas and projects, it's a lot of that language, and a lot of it does not deal with what I believe is the root of many an issue. So if you think about sort of issues tied to attrition and retention or advocacy, engagement, right? Those sort of business quote unquote problems or needs that really at the helm of people. Like we want people to do something, to buy something, to stay longer. I think a lot of ideologies, a lot of practices, models, consults, just a lot of things don't deal with the root. And I believe the root is how we see people, our perception of people, our value of people, right? The buckets we put people in and the frame that those buckets or those categories or those buckets sort of drive, the root of it is how we see people and our perception of people. Do we see people as a means to an end, or do we see people as the end goal itself? Do we see people as tools, as resources or tools to get some financial or strategic outcome? A lot of it ties to how we see people. And so part of the goal with Love as a KPI is to get to the foundation that drives a lot of the outcomes that organizations want or don't want as it relates to people. Again, whether it's, turnover, retention, and advocacy, and from all sorts of stakeholders. I think it first needs to start with how we as humans, as leaders, as people within the organization sort of see other human beings in the context of business. I often talk about the imaginary firewall, right, where we know that there are ways to see and perceive human beings in our personal lives, but that doesn't always apply to how we see them in the context of business. And I think that is one of the things that are at the foundation. I've been in structures, in building structures where the foundation is faulty, and so the whole thing sinks. Literally, I've been in structures and building structures. I'm sure you all have as well, and you know that it's sinking because there's something up with the foundation, right? The foundation cannot hold. I believe that the foundation that we have, a lot of the traditional ideology around business, right, around the purpose of business being purely about profit, people being purely about being purely tools through which to climb, that is the foundation, and it will not hold, and it will not hold in the long run. And so my intention with Love as a KPI is to offer a thought process, we offer tools, offer thinking that gets at the root, which is how do we even perceive other human beings when we put them in these buckets tied to business. And so more and more of that as time goes, but just wanted to drop this. I just wanted to share, oh gosh, these video catchphrases. I just wanted to share this perspective. Again, one of the reasons why I'm doing this, one of the convictions I have is that a lot of issues really boil down to how do we see humans? How do we see other people? Because it's for how you define the problem that dictates sort of the outcome. How do we see people? And that's one of the many things that I hope to contribute a perspective to through Love as a KPI. All right, thanks. Have a great, we have a great day, depending on when you see this.